What's up, guys? Cedo here in another video. Guys, I think we're cooked. This is crazy. So we see here going straight into it, we see here the Korean World Championship bundle selling for 3.5k in dollars. Now, of course, I know, we have come to learn that the news that out of the 10,000 boxes, there are a total of 20 boxes, which is such a small number, 20 boxes, where we have handwritten signed player signatures, Faker, Gumayusi, keria, and so on. And then out of those 20 sets, we have 5 of those where all 5 cards have a handwritten signature on it. So effectively like a super rare, ultra rare, special box, which is crazy. And that's of course pushing the price up, but of course we are so early into the space. We see only 2 free sales for the Korean. Now, of course, similar to, let's say, a Pokemon drop on Pokemon Center, usually the first 2, 3, 5, 10 sales get to mark whatever price they want, and then as the rest of the pre-sales come in, the market then floods and the price does go down. So of course this is crazy numbers, really crazy numbers, 3.5k. But I do expect this to go down in price, but let's just see, because we will have 10,000 show up in the market. Very unlikely that all 10,000, so it's a lot of boxes, will sustain itself at 3.5k. We do see the similar numbers for Chinese. I'm using eBay research because when it comes to 130 sales, we often can't find all the Chinese sales, but we do see here 2.6k, 2.5k. Again, I do expect this to go down in price once the market floods. But at the same time, I wonder how many we will see on the market, because again, the Chinese market, the internal mainland Chinese market will again have a crazy demand for this anyway. But I do still expect this to go down in price. Now, of course, it's not time yet for the English to reach the market. That does happen on the 20th. So this is next Thursday, and that's when we will start to sort of learn the pricing. Now, I really don't know what to base the pricing on. I was kind of estimating kind of 2k, because I've been hearing people, they're like, anyone have a box? I'll pay 2k on the spot, 2k on the spot. That was kind of what I was basing my number on. Let's see. I'm less and less hopeful in terms of being able to get a box myself by lottery. Again, chances were always very slim, but I have been freeing up some money to buy one on the secondary market. I was expecting to maybe use £2,000. That's maybe 2.6k in dollars. But honestly, I've been trying to free up some more money just in case as well. I'm still in the process, but I'm expecting maybe 3k out the gate. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if the market floods and if prices go down. But man, I am not hopeful. I do want one, but I am also accepting the possibility of not getting one as well. I think you need to have that possibility. Of course, this is a crazy moment. This is such a crazy box, but I won't stretch myself too thin. But yeah, I'll see what I do, because I do want this box, and I'm willing to sell a bunch. But let's just see how the market goes, honestly. Cool. Anyway, as mentioned, we have Chinese. So today I wanted to, of course, we had just the topic of the T1 boxes, which again is very crazy. And again, I really do hope I can get one, but if I don't, is what it is. But I did want to cover off a bit of Sealed, kind of see how Origins and Spirit Forge is doing. And then I've been meaning to talk about the metal space for a while, so I did want to go into that. But as usual, guys, I really appreciate your support. I've been gone for about 3 days. You know how it is. I've got the baby. It's been busy. I've got a newborn coming in maybe next week, the week after that. So I've been busy with that. So I do want to continue having videos every 2-3 days. Maybe not every day, especially because we are in a period now where things are quite stale, things are quite stagnant in terms of prices. In fact, we are seeing some prices, dip down a bit. Some of the signature cards go down in price, which is good and it's healthy. And for example, one of the metal cards, we see Kaisa just in a bit, has gone down in price as well. So it's all great, and we are all gearing up for really this T1 situation. And I mean, going into the Origins booster box, we have, in the US at least, well, not, I say we have, I'm in the UK, but in the US, they have just seen a reprint. And so we are starting to see, prices fall. This was $300, $320. So it's now dropping in price. We see $250 now. Cases as well, hardly dropping, to be honest. We're looking at 1.8k in dollars for a case. So it's still pretty high in price. I mean, in the UK, we've been sitting around £200, £210. And again, the UK is in need of a restock as well, a reprint. And I would imagine if the US has received the reprint, the UK will probably follow quite shortly. So we are looking at £200 in the UK. And then we are looking at cases. Cases are still quite expensive. 1.7k, that's basically 2.1k, 2.2k in dollars. So things are getting pretty expensive here as well. So, you know, the demand for Origin remains high. I think a reprint is still due. You would have seen in my thumbnail that I've got an arrow pointing down, but it is green, in that it is a good thing that we are seeing reprints for Origins. You know, this TCG is still so new. We do want new players to be able to get their hands on this set, particularly as we have this T1 bundle coming in now. We're going to have a bunch of new collectors coming in, rushing in, wanting to open up Origins, wanting to open up Spirit Forge. So it is a good time for them to start to make reprints of this, so we can make sure that when it is time for these new players to come in and try to collect the T1 cards, they'll eventually say, well, you know, there's Ahri, there's Yone, there's Yasuo, there's Leona, champions that I actually like in League of Legends. I want to collect them as well. I want to try rip them and get them from packs. So we do want there to be a fresh supply for those boxes as well, rather than them being at, you know, $250 for Origins, and, you know, for Spirit Force we are looking at over $200 as well. So that's kind of my point when it comes to restocks. We are so new in the TCG. They want to commit to printing until 2028. That's reasonable. You know, how far can reprints go at that point? You know, I would imagine the print capacity for Origin goes down slowly as we reach that 2028 point. So eventually, I don't think at some point we'll stop going back to retail price, in my opinion, and we'll just have to sustain ourselves at around, you know, $200 in US and maybe £200 in the UK. But we'll have to see as time goes by. And then before I go to Spirit Forge, I did want to just discuss the metal space briefly as well. I mean, we have been seeing a pullback in price, which again is very healthy. And again, I think the metal space is so fascinating because there are so few of these. And of course, for those that are new to the space or have not been following the metal space as much, there are effectively, at least for Origins, there were 9 regionals at which you could have got these Origins metal cards, and there were about 35 for each regional. So, you know, for Kaisa at each regional, there were only 35 of these handed out. So times by 9, there are 315 of each metal card, and Origins is out of print. They're basically serialized at this point. They're just missing the serialized, you know, number 315. There are basically none out there in existence. So we do see here a sale of about 7k. This is 10k in Canadian, sorry, not Canadian, Australian, which is about $7,000, about 5k in pounds. And we do see a similar sale for 6k in dollars, but that's a steep drop from what was a crazy peak of 10k in late July. So we have seen a pullback in this, which is fine and it's healthy because again, these are out of print, and we do expect this to continue to climb even, you know, as we go further and further into the Riftbound space. Of course, 10k was excessive, but again, this is going to be in so much demand, and the metal quality is fantastic. You know, the bulk majority of these come back as PSA 10s, BGS 10s. We have 2 black labels. Again, black labels are always hard to get for anything, but there is demand for this. And we do still see, for example, you know, a PSA 10 of this going for 14k. So the demand is still very much there. You know, it's not RE levels where she hits, you know, $20,000 in a PSA 10 for the prize wall, but it is still very much in high demand. So very much fantastic still. And then we have Lux at 10k in PSA 10. So again, Lux is part of the Proving Grounds prize wall as well. Not the most exciting card. We do see just under 10k. Not the most exciting card, but still nonetheless, we do know that Lux is going to have her own legend card as part of Legacy. So I think that will also draw some interest into this as well, because again, you know, people haven't really been following the Proving Ground space, because again, it is basically sort of a pre-made deck, pre-made box. So it's going to be very exciting when we see Lux have a fresh legend card. And now honestly, they're really improving the quality of the legend cards. We have LeBlanc, for example, which is fantastic. That is really a collectible in itself, a really major collectible. Her metal card, very fantastic legend card. So there is a lot of demand in this metal space, and I do find it fascinating. We do see here the non-graded go for 6.7k in dollars, about 5k in pounds. So again, still very heavy demand for, you know, these out of print cards, but specifically champions like Lux. Lux is an OG. You know, she's loved. Her overnumbered for the regional championship looks fantastic. There is a lot of excitement for Lux entering into the TCG. So make no mistake, this is going to sell for a pretty penny. And this will almost be a piece of memorabilia as well, because it is proving rounds as well. So I do think this will do fantastic in the future as well. Then we have Darius, you know, not the most exciting legend card. We do see it sell for 5k. So again, there is still demand for the origin cards that are again out of print. For example, we see Vi, you know, 8.5k. I really do like this legend card. Very much has, you know, the arcane theme in mind. Still, I think it's great. It's almost like a bit of a blur between the league version of Vi and then, you know, arcane version. I do think it's a very good metal card and legend card, and we're seeing it 8.5k as well. So again, as you can see, there is very much demand. And again, based on origins and kind of what they've said, we are looking at roughly nine regionals or so where you can get these cards. So again, we're looking at 300 each of these to ever be on the market. So where you are considering, you know, your signature cards and other things, I think it's worth, if it is your champion to collect, you know, for example, when Morgana comes out, and I'm getting the Morgana metal, for example, if it's your champion to collect, I would consider buying this while it is still I say reasonable price, but again, these prices are accessible already. But that is because Origins is out of print already. If you're looking at Vi, looking at Unleashed, Spirit Forge, they're still pretty affordable when they are non-graded. So, but we see here Origins again, Teemo 5k. Of course, Teemo is an anomaly as well. So again, some things are getting out of reach, but very much still fascinating nonetheless. Sorry, and then we see Annie. Again, as part of Proving Grounds. I don't know when Annie gets her own legend. It will be great. Annie's fantastic OG champion. I really love that her kit has been not modernized, but has been helped, you know, quality of life, because at some point she just couldn't, you know, commit to her abilities. You know, you flash ult, Q, W, and you know, you couldn't catch up to people with dashes. And so I really do appreciate that she has movement speed now. You know, her E, she can put E on another champion as well. Great quality of life improvements. And then again, just to fall back again, use your Ahri as well. 23k, we are still looking at this. So again, crazy numbers for Ahri. You know, she's very consistent in that space now. And then we have Spirit Forge, $220. Again, this continues to climb in price. We've been discussing this every couple of days or so, about a week, every week or so. Continues to climb in price. We're looking at 160, 180, 200. We're seeing 220 now. We do need a restock of Spirit Forge as well. And again, I know it's always fun to see, you know, boxes go up in price, but again, Spirit Forge has been out for what, 6 months. You know, we do need it to be affordable at retail price, because again, you know, the TCG's been out for less than a year. We do want Spirit Forge as well to be accessible for people. And again, there are very amazing cards you can chase in that as well. So now I wonder if we'll start considering, you know, first print, second print Spirit Force cases. We do see here 5C. Now I've not actually looked to understand what the serial means for Spirit Force. Of course, 5A and 5B mean first case prints for Origins, and I wonder if this is like a second print for Spirit Forge. I don't know. I've not looked into it. I'll probably look into it. But we do see here 1.5k as well. Again, climbing in price. Spirit Forge booster boxes speeding up in price, and we see here as well in the UK, as I've said it, we've been under retail for months. I mean, this was at its lowest £80. We are looking at almost double that now as well, 146. And again, cases as well, we're looking at over £1,000 as well. So very much picking up in price. And then kind of continuing on in the metal space, as I mentioned, you know, other sets, Spirit Forged, Unleashed. Of course, we've yet to have any Vendetta metals, but those are going to be sick. You know, we have Lucian here, for example. We see a best offer of 4k. So again, the non-graded are still very much affordable. We're looking at 1.5k, 1k. Honestly, if you're willing to spend that on a signature card, I would definitely put that into a metal, where we now know they've kind of confirmed that really we're looking at 3 sets max that you can have access to the Origins metal. So we're looking at roughly 9. So again, 9 regionals. So what, 300 each? So these should become a pretty good rarity and a pretty good, cool card to collect. So looking at graded, that's 4k. We see here Misfortune from Origins, about 3.5k as well. We've seen her PSA 10 go for 7k, 8k as well in dollars. So again, very much in demand, still on the cheaper end. It's not cheap really, but it is on the cheaper end. And we do see here Sivir, 5k as well. And again, I wouldn't concern myself too much of this. I would kind of wait a while because again, Sivir is from Spirit Forge. We still see, we still see more of these coming into the market as more and more regionals take place. Leona out of print. I would buy Leona in a heartbeat. She is as OG gets. She is as loved gets. 4.6k, still very much cheap. Again, by virtue of it being a support champion, in that support champions tend to be on the cheaper end. So yeah, I would definitely grab this if I were a Leona collector. Then closing out on this kind of 3 to 5k space, we do have 3 to 5 sort of thousand in dollars and pounds. We do have Victor. And again, this is probably my favorite metal card, in my opinion. We're looking at just over 3k in dollars and about 2.4k in pounds. This is a sleeper, in my opinion. I think the artwork for this is fantastic. The metal foiling for this works so well. And this is a sleeper. If I was a Victor collector, I would have bought this in a heartbeat, but I am not. I think this legend card as well is probably the best legend card out there. I think Leona is next. Not Leona, LeBlanc is next. But I do think this Victim legend is fantastic. And then we see Jinx closing out at around 4.2k as well. So definitely, you know, similar to Kaisa and Ahri in that they are anomalies. Yes, not as high as Kaisa and Ahri, but nonetheless, still very much in high demand. And then closing out the video, we have some of the cheaper ends. And again, this is a great point to make in that a lot of these are still, you know, within reach if they are your champion to collect. We do see Volibear from Origins. Again, there are no more of these printed. We see 2k. This is a snag, in my opinion. This is a snag as snag gets. Fantastic champion. Love Volibear. OG as OG gets. We see Sivir that we saw before, ingraded. We see her for 1.8k. Again, you know, especially when Sivir gets her own legend, this is going to be a cheap card to grab. Sorry, no, what am I saying? What am I saying when she gets her own legend? Sorry, who was I thinking of? I think I was thinking of Sejuani. Anyway, Sivir, 1.8k, solid price point for an OG champion. And again, we have maybe a few more regionals where you can get Sivir, so soon these will start to climb in price. So yeah, let me know. We do see another one as well, 2.5k. But you know, this is about a week apart, so 2nd of August, and we see here 11th of August. So again, it is climbing in price slowly, but Yasuo, sorry, prize war for 2.2k. And again, these are out of print. It's still very crazy that these are this cheap. Yes, it's not the most exciting card. You know, the legend cards weren't that thought out initially, but I do still think nonetheless that, you know, by virtue of being Yasuo, being Origins, that this is a cheap no-brainer. See Jax, not the biggest fan. I mean, the maker's arms look so, what's the word? So fake, I guess, almost grotesque. 1.5k though. This is cheap. As a Jax, if you're a Jax collector and Jax is an OG, his kit still remains the same. The only difference is what his ult doesn't really give crazy levels of armor and magic resistance anymore. I don't think it even gives armor and magic resistance anymore. Just I think it does, maybe armor. But you know, 1.5k is a snag. I would buy this in a heartbeat, honestly. We have Lilia, 2.3k. So again, as you can see, there is a thriving market in this sort of metal ecosystem. 2.3k. I'd probably wait for this to go down in price as more and more regionals take place, where you can get an unleashed card, for example. But you know, as you can see, the metal foiling looks great. You can even see it from here. Not the best quality, but nonetheless, you can see some of the foiling of the metal card. 2.3k is a snag. And then here, this card here is the most undervalued card in existence. This is 1.9k. This is so cheap for what a phenomenal card this is. This is a card that really everyone should get their hands on if they have the money to spare. This is a card to grab, in my opinion. We see Master Yi from Origins for, and again, this is out of print. There are no more of these. We do see it go for 2.3k. So again, he does have a new card in Unleashed. So he does have 2 metal cards now, similar to how Lux will also have 2 metal cards as well. But nonetheless, I think this is a cool card to get as well. Azir for about 1.5k. Again, very cheap. Still has a few more regionals to allow a few more to flood the market. So there's no urgency to buy this just yet. I do say though, I will say the LeBlanc card, I would buy this now if you have the money. I wouldn't wait for this to go down in price. I would buy this now, just so you know you have it on hand if anything crazy does happen. Because again, there are only 300 of these, and the T1 collectors are still, they're on their way. They're not here yet. We will enter into a buyer's market, in my opinion, in that people are going to try sell to buy boxes, to try buy cards, as I'm doing. And in that, people will sell at cheaper prices than they ordinarily would, just to kind of release some funds. So, you know, that should happen, but at the same time, it's so risky because we'll also get a new flood, a new wave of collectors that, you know, perhaps the supply we have now may not be able to keep up with the demand of all the new collectors. So we just don't know. So I'd say it's worth the risk just buying one now and then holding on to it. If it goes down in price a bit, who cares? You know, it's fine to keep. I'd say it's fine to keep onto, even though it's gone down a bit in price. And then we do see here Rumble as well, a bit on the cheaper end, about 1K in dollars, which again is a solid price. We see here Draven 2K, and then we do see here as well Rek'Sai 1.8K. So, you know, I like to, the metal space is growing on me more and more. Before I used to think this is kind of, I thought it was silly before because they used the legend version rather than an overnumbered or something else that's pretty exciting. That was my issue, but I do think more and more the quality of the cards, they're so mint, and there are only 300, so these are virtually serialized cards. So I do understand the market growing as well, and you know, I think it's exciting, and I do want the space to grow, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, but that's kind of the video for today. Again, I wanted to just kind of briefly touch on the T1 Korean and Chinese sales. I think it's crazy. I really think it's crazy, and I don't know where we go from here. I'm really excited to see what comes out in the English prices. Again, I'll sell what I can. I mean, I'm not going to be excessive. I've got a few boxes from Pokemon and One Piece that I can sell. I don't want to sell anything Riftbound related. I'm hoping it doesn't go anything above like 5K in pounds. Like that's as much as I'm willing to spend, and that's crazy amount of money. Like outside of like a Morgana signed card or Morgana metal card, I'm not spending 5K for anything. Like besides this T1 box. But that's if I can even get one at that price. We'll have to see. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, we'll leave it there as usual. Thanks for the support as always. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the good stuff. Join as a member as well, I don't know. Feel free to. And yeah, we'll speak soon. See you in the cuts out. Thanks.